Let's do some articles. We got some New York Post stuff. Armed terrorists killed while posing as World Central Kitchen staff in Gaza IDF, apparently. A group of 5 armed terrorists were killed after they were caught posing as members of the World Central Kitchen humanitarian group in central Gaza. The Israeli military said Tuesday video from Deir al-Balah, one of the few cities largely spared by the 21-month Midwest war, shows a group of men in bright vests traveling in a vehicle marked with WCK's emblem. Terrorists deliberately attached the WCK emblem and wore yellow vests in an attempt to disguise their activities and avoid being targeted, cynically exploiting the status and trust given to aid organizations. Correct. The Israel Defense Force said in a statement, yes, people will do that. Military said it's a unit that oversees the distribution of humanitarian aid contacted WCK about the group spotted near Deir al-Balah, with the nonprofit confirming that the vehicle was not affiliated with them. While the IDF only confirmed that 5 of the men were killed, the video showed at least 10 people huddled around the car and putting on the vests before the vehicle set off. So they said that they went and got confirmation from the organization itself and said, "Hey, are you guys operating here right now? Because it seems like there's some weird activity going on. Can you tell us if you're over there?" It's like, no, we're not over there. Okay, well, that's shady, right? So that's why they probably attacked. The military said its unit that oversees the distribution of humanitarian aid contacted WCK around the group near, yeah. Right, there it is. Well, the IDF only the IDF did not state if the men killed in the strike were specifically with Hamas or members of other terror groups of militias based in the Gaza Strip. WCK said it condemned anyone who would pose as one of their employees, warning that such actions endanger real aid workers operating in Gaza. It does. Right, because now you've putting those people at risk because now you're setting, right, you're putting targets on you're hiding, masking yourself, camouflaging, right? Now you're trying to get those people, right, those civilians hurt when they're just trying to help people. The agency founded in 2010 by Spanish-American chef and restaurateur Jose Andres, provides food relief to those around the world, with the humanitarian group currently focusing on trying to avoid the looming famine in Gaza. The war in Gaza was reportedly put humanitarian aid workers at risk, with at least 10 WCK staffers killed last year after they were hit by Israeli airstrikes, including 7 who were unloading 100 tons of food. Israeli officials have repeatedly apologized for the deaths, blaming Hamas for putting the aid workers at risk and accusing the group of routinely hiding behind the humanitarian efforts in Gaza. I mean, they do that. Right? These people do that, and it's unfortunate, but yeah, people try to fucking kill civilians in the process. Purposefully. Well, at least these guys do it. Right? Anything to get their objectives done, even if it means, right, putting civilians at risk, they'll fucking do it. I mean, they've already, right, tortured their own people. Right? It's been documented. Fucking Hamas. Adam Schiff approved intel leaks to smear Trump. Though he'd be CIA chief of Hillary Clinton, won. Whistleblower. Senator Adam Schiff, then the top Democrat of the House Intelligence Committee, authorized leaks of classified info to tarnish President Trump's image during the Russiagate probe. Russia. Having assumed that he would lead the CIA in a Hillary Clinton admin, according to newly released whistleblower statements. The unidentified male source who worked as Democrat staffer on the House Intelligence Committee for 12 years, after more than 12 decades in the intelligence community, told FBI agents in December 2012, but the mood among the panel became indescribable after Trump's upset win the year before. Ranking member Schiff was particularly upset as he had believed he would have been appointed as the director of the CIA had candidate Hillary Clinton won the election. According to the summary interview obtained by the Post, in September 2017, the same whistleblower told investigators that he had heard the congressional staff colleagues around October 2016 that Schiff would be offered the CIA job if Clinton had won. After Trump was sworn in as the 45th president, the September 2017 interview summary reads, Schiff believed Russia hijacked this election and the United States was in the middle of a constitutional crisis. Fuck it. Dude, this guy's a fucking broken record, man. Classified information began leaking to the media because they leaked it. Whenever they say classified information began leaking to the media, it's because they're leaking it themselves. It's because they're the assholes that fucking did that shit. Right? They're the ones who are falsifying information and shit. Right? The Democratic minority leadership of the Intelligence Committee was aware of the leaks, but was under the impression that leaking the information was a way to topple the admin and fix the constitutional crisis. So fucking stupid. I never believed there was a fucking even with Biden in power, I never believed there was a constitutional crisis, even though he was being a fucking piece of shit sometimes. So, yeah, like, whenever you guys break the fucking Second Amendment time and time again, I don't cry fucking constitutional crisis. I cry, hey, don't infringe on my fucking rights, bitch. So, yeah. During an FBI interview in June 2023, the whistleblower recalled being part of an all-staff meeting called by now Schiff, California, at which the Democrats stated the group would leak classified info, which was derogatory to President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Schiff stated the information would be used to indict President Trump. Or fucking impeach him, right? But could never. The whistleblower said he objected to Schiff's idea. A summary of that interview reveals only to be told by other participants that they would not be caught leaking classified info. Well, now you guys are. Sometimes later, the whistleblower said he was approaching again about leaking against Trump and responded that he believed this activity to be unethical and treasonous. The whistleblower later reached out to the FBI and was invited to attend a mock grand jury hearing, only to later be told that the Justice Department would be not investigating further. Investigators believed Schiff, now 65, was protected by the Constitution's speech or debate clause, which bars the apprehension of legislators for their professional activities except in the event of felony treason and breach of the peace. The whistleblower, Schiff, like, these people incite violence so much, or they incite, right, voters to do something about, it. And it's like, dude, you're the fucking ones in power. What the fuck are you talking about? You're the ones who can get to the DOJ. Like, what? You're the ones who can make the fucking call. You're the ones who fucking make the bills and write the laws. Like, what are you talking about? The whistleblower claimed during his June 2023 interview that he did not believe Schiff's actions were covered by the speech or debate clause. The whistleblower's claims were first reported by the were first reported by Just the News, with FBI Director Kash Patel confirming on X Monday night, "We found it. We declassified it. Now Congress can see how classified info was leaked to shape political narratives and decide if our institutions were weaponized against the American people." Well, they were, right? I mean, you had those times where the FBI were swatting or knocking on doors on the wrong people sometimes. Patel previously worked as a top aide to former House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Republican California, and authored a memo causing FBI officials of abusing their power during the Trump at Russia investigation, which proceeded under the code name Crossfire Hurricane. The whistleblower was described as friends with both Shiv and Nunes, and someone who worked with senior political leaders from both major political parties. However, on October 2017, FBI memo claimed that the word was spreading among committee staff that the whistleblower has been fired for a perceived lack of party loyalty. When a Republican staffer went to offer condolences, the memo relates the whistleblower told them they had lost their job because there was an expectation of leaking and he refused to participate. That's what he said. Over drinks that evening, the whistleblower claimed the Democrats on the Intelligence Committee had established a system for leaking in which sensitive information would be given to Shiv, after which a decision was made as to whom would leak the information. So it was like done in like 2 parts or 3 parts, right? They would figure out what kind of information they would want to leak, and then give it to once they got the confidential information they got or whatever they needed, they would send it to Shiv to see if it was doable, right? And then Shiv would be like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it here," right? After which a decision was made. What a weekend for one prominent overshare, according to a whistleblower, was. Oh no, was Republican Eric Swallowwell a part of it too? What a little fig. Another committee member. That fucking. He was fucking a Chinese spy, by the way. He's a turncoat. In the December 2017 FBI interview, the whistleblower recounted how a particularly sensitive document was seen by a small group of lawmakers and staff, including Schiff and Swallowwell, but leaked out almost verbatim within a day, the whistleblower allegedly claiming to have been warned to be careful because he, Swalwell, and had a reputation for leaking classified information. Well, because Swalwell is a fucking retard, and he's as shady as every other Democrat. Schiff, who spearheaded the first impeachment of Trump 2019, had long been suspected by Republicans of leaking classified info during the Russiagate saga. Well, yeah. He also infamously read key portions of the since debunked Steele dossier into the congressional record in 2017. In 2023, House Republicans voted to censure Schiff for his role in Russiagate, only for him to be elected in the Senate the following year. Last week, the Post reported that a grand jury has been convened in Maryland to investigate whether Schiff falsified bank documents and properly records to acquire more favorable loan terms. The California senator is accused of mortgage fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, and false statements to financial institutions for certifying a Maryland property as his primary residence while also claiming a California condominium as his main home for tax and mortgage purposes. Yeah, right. This motherfucker's trying to play 2 states. The FBI earlier this month initiated an investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan and ex-FBI Director James Comey for any potential criminal actions taken as part of the Trump-Russia probe. The Justice Department also launched a strike force last month after Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard released a long-anticipated 44-page report from the White House Intelligence Committee that found egregious errors committed by Brennan in the compiling of an assessment that claimed Moscow preferred Trump to defeat Clinton. Representatives for Shiv and Swalwell did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Why would they? They don't know shit. Alright, what do we got here? Hit woman? U.S. hit woman described as fairly unexceptional convicted UK murder plot. Uh-oh. Even in UK land, they're getting this. Murder for hire. Fairly unexceptional Wisconsin woman was convicted of attempted murder Tuesday after she was shockingly hired to kill a British store owner and failed only because her gun jammed. Oh, shit. That's wild. Amy Betro, 45 at West Allis, Wisconsin, was part of the slay plot targeting Sikander Ali outside his home in Birmingham, England on September 7, 2019, UK authorities said. The planned hit was triggered by a fight at the Birmingham clothing boutique owned by Ali's father, Aslit Muhammad, in July 2018, which left two men, Muhammad Aslam, 56, and his son, Muhammad Nabil Nazir, 31, injured, as jury was told. Betro had previously met Nazir on a dating app. Oh no, the cap was fair. Betro was a fairly exceptional individual on the face of it. A normal-looking individual prepared to do an outrageous, audacious, and persistent murder, said Detective Chief Inspector Alistair Orencons from West Midlands Police Major Crime Unit to BBC News. Oh, gross. Dramatic security footage from the shooting scene showed Betro, who had almost no previous criminal footprint, approaching Ali's car and firing her gun at him at point-blank range, prosecutors said. Betro allegedly hid her identity at the time using a headscarf, but her gun jammed, allowing Ali to flee. Prosecutors said Betro later allegedly goaded Ali's father, Muhammad, by text. "Why are you hiding?" she texted the dad. "Stop playing hide and seek. You are lucky it jammed." What? No. Is she that stupid? Like, what? What? Hours later, what? Hours later, Betro took a taxi to Ali's home and fired 3 gunshots at the property, which was empty at the time, before flying home to the U.S. the next day. Betro had allegedly traveled to the U.K. on 2 previous occasions after meeting Nazir on the app. Calling her crimes brazen, Orenicus said there didn't seem to be a whole lot of effort to avoid detection. In October 2019, just weeks after the bizarre failed murder bid, Betro took part in another of Nazir's revenge plots on a rival authorities. She mailed 3 parcels of ammunition and gun parts to the UK, addressed to a man in the central English city of Derby, with the plan being that Nazir would tip off police and frame him for the crime, they said. Okay. Sure, I guess. I don't know. The innocent man was arrested but later released without charge after Nazir's devious scheme came to light, prosecutors said. Beatro's DNA was found on the gun parts and ammo inside the box, and she was seen in the security footage at the post office 100 miles from her home, sending the parcels under a fake name, the jury was told. She tried to claim that the woman in the footage wasn't her, but just someone who dressed, looked, and sounded like her. Oh yeah. No, it wasn't me. It was just someone that looks, dresses, and sounds like me. No, it's not me. Don't worry about it. I was in the store, you know, getting groceries. Nazir has so fucking dumb. Nazir and Aslan were jailed for 32 years and 10 years respectively in November for their role in the planned hit, while Bitro was extradited from Armenia, where she was living in January to face trial in the UK. Wearing a purple t-shirt and with her hair in the space buns, Vitro appeared emotionless as she was convicted Tuesday of a conspiracy to murder, possessing a self-loading pistol with intent to cause fear of violence, and illegally importing ammunition. She was remanded in custody and is due to be sentenced by August 21st. She was remanded. Basically, she was held in custody. There you have it. Hit woman. The retarded hit woman who's all like, I'm gonna kill you. Ah. 100 mil crypto king John Boltz went from school goth to alleged torture and why his parents had to bail him out. So this was the guy who he was keeping someone hostage in his like apartment or some shit, and the guy got out and talked to cops. Right. And that's how we got caught. The crypto king accused of kidnapping and torturing an Italian man in a swanky Manhattan townhouse was only bailed out of jail when his parents put a house and their savings on the line as collateral, despite their son reportedly having amassed a fortune. A judge releasing John Boltz, 37, said to be worth $100 million, stipulated he wasn't allowed to pay his bail with cryptocurrency. That led to his father, Matthew Van Woltz, putting his own home on the line, and his mother, Joan, agreeing to cough up $1 million should their son fail to meet the terms of his bond, according to the court documents seen by the Post. He is now under house arrest in New York while awaiting trial, a world away from the private jets he was accustomed to traveling in the nightclubs, where he would drop tens of thousands of dollars. Walt's glitzy lifestyle before his arrest was itself far removed from his upbringing, when he was a goth kid from the affluent family and a computer nerd back in Paducah, Kentucky. Oh, he's from Kentucky. I know his whole family. It's heartbreaking. I don't know what happened. He was a really good person, one former classmate told the Post. A change appears to have taken place in Waltz in late 2024 when he started hanging around with his co-accused William Duplessis, a flashy 6'5" son of a former hedge fund manager who split his time between Miami and Switzerland before the couple's ill-fated run in Manhattan earlier this year. Waltz was released from Rikers Island a week after a Manhattan job granted both he and Duplessis $1 million bail each over the shocking alleged kidnapping and torture of Italian crypto trader Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan, who had been visiting them in May. Both men had pleaded not guilty to the charges against them. Damn. Duplessis, 33, remains behind bars, while Waltz, assumed to have all his assets tied up in digital currency, was able to get help from his parents. It's unclear why Duplessis was not posted bail. Sources confirmed he hasn't had a bond package approved yet. When his father and former business partner, James, was reached by the Post, he declined to speak. Waltz and Duplessis were listed in different facilities on Rikers before their bail hearings. Prosecutors allege Waltz and Duplessis had tortured Carturan by allegedly lighting him on fire, cutting him with a chainsaw, and holding a gun to his head in order to hijack the password for his Bitcoin wallet worth millions. Wait. I don't think... The pair also allegedly threatened the 28-year-old victim's family in Italy while subjecting him to humiliation by having people urinate on him and forcing him to take drugs during captivity. Authorities have claimed. Okay. It is just allegedly. However, lawyers for the pair maintain the whole thing was a misunderstanding. They allege Carturan was a willing participant who was free to leave at any time and that was only suspected to a kind of hazing ritual. The allegations come as a major shock to those who grew up with Waltz in Paducah. Several sources describe Waltz as an ordinary kid who didn't appear to be particularly close with any other student, even when they were classmates at the Paducah Middle School. Jefferson Jones, a former Paducah Middle School student, said Waltz didn't stand out from the crowd. I knew of him as a classmate, but he wasn't in my direct circle of friends, told the Post. He seemed kind of normal to me. Another ex-classmate who spoke to on the condition of anonymity said he was had also been on a wrestling team with Waltz. He was maybe someone that learned towards not being afraid to get into trouble, but he wasn't bad. He came from an affluent family, which helps us socially in a town like ours, but it doesn't guarantee you will be any closer or but it doesn't guarantee you will be close to anyone. Sorry. Another former student remembered Waltz as a goth. He was emo. Waltz's father, who still lives in Paducah and is a well-respected neurologist, cannot be reached for comment. The philosophy major graduated in 2019 with a Bachelor's of Arts degree, majoring from the University of Kentucky before moving to California Silicon Valley to invest in startups. That's why you had to do then to succeed in the industry, Waltz told the Paducah Sun in 2020. Although he moved away, Waltz often returned to his roots in the bluegrass state, where he purchased a mansion earlier this year, as exclusively revealed by the Post. The 6-bedroom waterfront home in Smithland was bought by Waltz and Duplessis for $1 million cash in January. Multiple sources told the Post. The house was later raided by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, and the NYPD with support from the Kentucky State Police, according to a release from authorities. 5 guns and ammunition were seized, according to ATF. A Smithland resident spoke to the Post to the condition of anonymity, said that both Waltz and Duplessis were the talk of the town while living in the mansion because people were always coming and going from the property. He said the pair ingratiated themselves with the local Chamber of Commerce and tried to fit in as much as possible. As far as small community goes, there was talk they were looking at making the mansion a venue for events. The source claimed there were kinds of rumors going around. All at the same time, there was an undercurrent that something wasn't right. More recent friends described how they were how they'd been flown from Florida to Kentucky home to party with the Crypto Bros in February, but noted both were increasingly paranoid. Once at the house, Waltz and Duplessis claimed they were CIA operatives and carried loaded guns and communicated by writing messages to each other on a typewriter and then burning them so their guests couldn't see what they were talking about. According to a New York magazine, which also reported the pair were allegedly consuming quantities of cocaine. Goddamn. Cocaine. Cocaine's a hell of a drug, kids. Don't do it. During the same weekend, Duplessis is said to have pulled a loaded gun on the chef he had hired and only relented after other guests intervened, according to the magazine. It was a few weeks after this weekend, Waltz and Duplessis moved into the $75,000 a month rental home on Prince Street. There they enlisted fixers and held bigger parties with more people, and things started getting more and more out of hand. Even more out of hand, sorry. Videos taken within the house show unidentified people having sex, taking drugs, and partying hard. The videos first published by TMZ also showed Katurin apparently cooking drugs and also strapped to a chair. Wait, what? Both defendants are next scheduled to appear in court on October 5th. Jesus, man. Were they in a fucking crack house? Like, what the fuck was that? Oh, man, there you have it. What is this? NYC designer Martha Nolan Oslatara's tragic death on Montauk boat. Ida's suspected accidental drug overdose, sources say. So there it is. A drug overdose. The mysterious death of Manhattan swimwear designer Martha Nolan Oslatara at the upscale Montauk Yacht Club is being eyed as a possible accidental overdose, sources said. Tuesday. 33-year-old Irish beauty was found unconscious at the Ritzy Club at around midnight on August 5th aboard a boat named Ripple. One of at least two Grateful Dead-themed crafts owned by insurance mogul Christopher Durnan, sources tell the Post. An autopsy is pending to determine Nolan Oslatara's official cause of death, although sources said it was a suspected drug overdose, OD. Questions have been swirling since the tragic night when Nolan Oslatara was discovered on the Ripple, which was docked at the yacht club. Members reported hearing screams and called 911 before trying to resuscitate the young designer, who was later pronounced deceased. The Good Samaritans told the Post they were woken by a naked man throwing sunscreen at their boat and saw him running down the dock screaming, "Do something." Durnan, 60, a familiar figure at the club, owns the Durnan Group in Rockville Center, which manages the largest, most successful workers' compensation safety group for real estate on company's website. He owns Ripple and a second boat, Hell in a Boat, which was docked alongside, and it also a shout out to Grateful Dead. Several club members confirmed. Durnan did not return several requests for comments. Suffolk County cops have not filed charges or identified any suspects in the case, but authorities have also not publicly ruled out foul play. Despite revealing that there was no evidence of violence in the body, Nolan Oslatara's death is also being investigated by Suffolk County's East End Drug Task Force. Well, because it was drug related, according to the Tuesday's report by Newsday. Until you start ruling stuff out, everything is in play, a source familiar with the investigation told the outlet. Yeah, basically. Nolan Oslatara, a native of the tiny Irish town of Carlow, migrated to the U.S. where she started as a bottle service girl in Soho before co-founding East and X East, a swimwear label. I always knew I wanted to be successful, that I was money-driven, business-driven, and the fashion is a tough industry and would be a slow road she told the Irish Independent last year. Her partner in the East, Dylan Grace, posted a moving tribute on Instagram following her death. We dreamed big together, laughed harder than anyone else could understand, and built so much from nothing, he wrote. I'm truly blessed and grateful to have had you in my life. Nolan O'Slatera summered in the Hamptons, where she hosted successful pop-up shows and fashion exhibits for wealthy clientele in Montauk and the surrounding area. She had finalized her divorce to ex-Sam Ryan just months before her death, according to court records reviewed by the Post. I represented Mr. Ryan in a matrimonial proceeding. The final papers had been submitted to the court, and before the judgment of divorce was issued, I became aware of Miss Nolan's O'Slatera's passing and promptly notified the court. His attorney, David Centeno, said in a statement, out of respect for the privacy of those involved and my ethical restraints, I cannot discuss whether there was a prenuptial agreement, mediation, or other private arrangements. Nolan O'Slatera's heartbroken mother, Alma Nolan, told the Irish Independent on August 7th that her daughter was planning a trip home to Carlow before her death. I don't know what happened to my daughter, she told the outlet. I feel numb and in shock. That's unfortunate. There you have it. See what we got here. Elderly NYC motorist kills 2 himself after speeding through intersection straight into food truck. Happened so fast. Two food truck customers and an 84-year-old driver were killed when the senior plowed his car into them. In a devastating Tuesday morning scene in Queens, according to the cops and startling surveillance footage, I'm pretty sure the old man was knocked the fuck out. Like, he fell asleep behind the wheel and crashed right into them. The force of the tragic crash was so horrific that it severed one of the victim's feet. Oh, Jesus, really? Holy fuck. Severed meaning cut in half, or cut, or mutilated, right? Removed from his body, basically. The elderly motorist was driving his light-colored 2010 Toyota Corolla north on 42nd Street and 19th Avenue in Astoria when he whizzed through the intersection and careened straight into the food truck as the two men ages 42 and 70 were ordered from it, according to the police in the video. After the initial impact, the out-of-control driver also spun around and collided with the Volvo sedan, driven by a 42-year-old man, cops said. The Volvo driver was unhurt. All of a sudden, I hear a loud screeching from tires and like a really loud engine roar. Sounded like it was like right on top of me. Shaken food truck worker Giancarlo Caruso told the Post. Someone screamed really loud, and I just had stepped back like right up to the sidewalk, he said, adding he was saved by a millimeter or a centimeter as he stood next to one of the fatal victims and felt the wind hit my leg. Yeah. I was parked right off the sidewalk, and as soon as I heard the scream and the screeching, I stepped back in the vehicle going about 60 miles an hour, mauled 2 of the customers that were with me, Caruso said. They were just laid out and lifeless, he said, on the tragic victims. It happened so fast, it was almost like God removed me from the scene. The younger food truck patron was pronounced dead at the scene, cops said. The older customer as well as the elderly driver were taken to the Elmhurst Hospital Center where they succumbed to their injuries, police said. The two fatal victims were not immediately identified pending family notification. Francisco Neto, owner of the nearby doggy daycare, said he knew one of the victims for his work at a tire shop near the scene. It was a very nice guy, Neto said. He helped us a lot with the cars here, with the tires. He just replaced all 4 tires of my car the other day. It's sad. That's unfortunate. This is a busy street for this area, extremely busy, he added. You have the tire shop, the mechanic, the motorcycle place, so it gets busy, but never anything like this. There you have it. Okay, and then last one, brute lurking near Times Square tries to rape 21-year-old woman, cops sources say. A brute lurking near Times Square choked a 21-year-old woman unconscious, then tried to grape her over the weekend, cops and law enforcement sources said. The stranger snuck up behind his victim as she walked out the corner, West 47th Street and 8th Avenue in Manhattan around 3:30 a.m. Sunday, according to authorities and sources. He wrapped his arm around her neck, causing her to lose consciousness for a few seconds, sources said. The sicko then tried to rape the woman while she was blacked out, cops and sources said. But as she began to regain consciousness, the attacker backed off and started fleeing west on the 47th Street toward 9th Avenue and Hell's Kitchen, according to police and sources. The victim was taken to the Metropolitan Hospital Center, where she was listed in stable condition with neck pain from the strangulation. The attacker was shown on surveillance footage holding his cell phone while walking on the dark sidewalk. Had not been caught by Tuesday, authorities said. He was last seen wearing black t-shirt, black shorts, and white sneakers. Anyone with information on his whereabouts? Oh, okay. They're still looking for this guy? Holy shit. Hotline, t-shirt, black shirt. Basically, if you see him, you can send in a report. But there you have it. I'm pretty sure this is an old one. I'm pretty sure we saw this this video like way back, like a couple weeks back, and now they're just saying this here. Anyways, there you have it. Like I said, I'll put all the sources in the description below, or in the YouTube description below panel, right box panel. Anyways, yeah. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.